What is going on, everybody, and welcome back once again. My name is Jordan, also known as JMonster, and I want to thank you guys for joining me for another 3v3 on Silmarillion Total War. Today we're going to be playing on what I have called the Halidin Village, although you may recognize it as the Blood Gulch map from 33 Forged. This is one of the maps that I made, and I spent a ton of time on, so I wanted to port it over. It's a really cool map. It's based on the Blood Gulch map from Halo, quite loosely. Although it does have this river running down the center, and obviously there is nothing like that in the original Blood Gulch. We do have this raised area over here where it is possible to hide many units, and it's actually the site of an old castle. So there's some ruins here that kind of block your way through certain approaches. There's some rocks and such that make it rough terrain to travel through and to keep a formation in. And then down here in the valley, lots of mud and stuff, and some hills and things that will slow you down on your trek through here. And there's also lots of crossings on the river. I think there's about 3 in the middle, 2 or 3 in the middle. And then at each end there is a village, and there's some fortifications here. You got 2 big stake fortifications, and there's also 3 bridges at either end that you can use to pass from one side to the other. And then you're going to find another settlement over in this direction, and a big old encampment here you can actually go inside of. So this little door here, you can go through, and you can stash troops on the inside. Pretty cool, right? A little bit farther up here, you're going to find some stake fortifications. Some more stake fortifications. It's kind of staggered here. It makes a nice little killing zone for units that are coming out of these 2 paths. There's some places where you can hide units in here, some more ruins to break up the approach. Lots of mud. And then there's a big raised hill up here. Nice defensive position that's can help you. They can help dug-in armies check in advance from the other side. So I think it's a fairly well-balanced map. And then behind that, you're going to find a small little barbarian village, which you can fight inside of. There's some hidden units over here, or some hidden regions over here. Lots of ruins and things like that that make it difficult to keep a formation in, so it's hard to fight in those kind of claustrophobic areas. There's a small little ruins of a fortress that you can garrison units inside. And then across on the other side here, you of course have the main enemy encampment, and there's going to be lots of fighting in here for you guys to enjoy. And then finally, this is the entrance to the upper reaches here. So, without any further ado, let's take a look at some of the army compositions, and then we can jump into the battle. Please do ignore the Mordor banners and units here. That is something that we will be changing in the future with custom officers. Everything that you see is, of course, subject to change at any point throughout our alpha process. So just bear that in mind if someone's like, oh, this is bullshit, there's banners from Mordor here, this mod is terrible. It's something that we're working on. It's a lot of work that's gone into it so far, and still a lot of work to be put into it yet. So the first army we're going to look at today is the Realm of Angband, being played by yours truly. And I have kind of split my army a little bit, or at least I will be splitting it between the valley below and my troops up here. So I've brought some Iron-Shod Halberdiers, which are an excellent answer to Elvish infantry, as it is difficult for them to get close to a solid and stable pike wall, or rather halberdier walls. They don't have quite the range of pikes. And I've got, I believe, 3 units in total of them, and I will be garrisoning all of them up here to fight against our new faction, Doriath. Let's see. I've also brought Iron-Shod Arbalists. I believe I have a full unit, and then there's an attachment in here somewhere. Yes, I believe. I've also got some Wretches of Angband. I believe I have 2 or 3 units of them. I've got Spear Guard of the Iron Crown, 2 companies of. I've got some Iron-Shod Reavers, I believe 3 units with armor and attack upgrades, so they are quite tanky with their 9 armor, and I think it gives them 9 attack, which is very nice. I've also got, the Uruloki. You guys haven't really had a chance, I think, to get a good look of the Uruloki and a feel for what the unit can really do, but you're definitely going to see that in this battle. In addition, I've brought some terrifying Balrogs here, the Valraukar. And I've also got some more Reavers, some Ravagers. I think I have 2 companies of Ravagers. I've got Guardians of the Iron Crown, and it's worth noting that my Iron Crown units also have attack and armor upgrades, making them very tanky indeed. This is the Mace unit, and I've only got a detachment of them, a single detachment. More Ravagers, more Reavers, and I've got some Bulldogs as well to keep my line together. Wretches, more Wretches, and some Ravagers. And I think that's going to do it for my army. I don't think I brought any cavalry. I think it's predominantly infantry. But don't worry. That is covered by our ally. We have Tolin Gaurahoth down here in the center, and they are commanded by Misericordi. He's got some Laugskaraz Zagulkalab, which is a medium unshielded cavalry unit from the Skarahai clan. They are very fast, and there are many of them. And they've got a decent armor value of 6, so they're not completely helpless in the face of arrows, as many tend to be about 3 or 4. Is that 3 companies of them? Yes, he's brought 3 companies of the Laugskaraz, going for more numbers than anything else. Got Gijekskaraz chosen, Hishburkraz warband, Gijekskaraz chosen, more warbands, Howlers, of course, because the Ashclaw Howlers are awesome. Longfangs. Looks like 3 companies, 4 companies of Longfangs. And I know that they have chevrons and attack upgrades, so that gives them their 10 damage, and they've got an okay shield value as well of 5. Gijekskad has Wolfguard, 2 armor-piercing companies of Macemen here. And he's got some Gijekskad has Gulkalab, so the high-tier cavalry, more Gijekskad has Gulkalab, and then some Thorang Sheik Wolfborn. And we've seen just how powerful that unit can be. Very easy to get well over 200 kills with them. Then we're going to pop across to the other side, and this is going to be a little bit weird, I'm sure, for many of the lore freaks out there. Myself being one of them. And we have the House of Feanor, commanded by DT Secretariat. They're going to be fighting alongside the Orcs today, which is a little bit strange, but hey, got to mix it up sometimes. He's brought Mounted Company of Kurufin, some Mounted Company of Kelogorm, Stalkers of Thargelion, a very useful unit. They don't have a lot of fatigue traits, and they don't have an armor-piercing javelin, but they do have a okay missile value of 5, and they can be used against medium and light infantry to great effect, and they also have armor-piercing. In fact, I think it's the only armor-piercing melee unit that the Sons of Feanor have. They have armor-piercing charges on their cavalry, and they've got the Rangers of Helivorn, who have armor-piercing missiles, but when it comes to being a close-quarters unit, the Stalkers of Thargelion are unique in that regard with the AP trait. Second company of them here, got some Footmen of Amoras, Defenders of Aglon, 2 companies of them with their armor upgrade as well, looking very, very slick in that crimson armor. Archers of Amrod here without an armor upgrade. I think there's 2 companies of them. Footmen of Amoras, more Stalkers of Thargelion, more Footmen, Roqueni Magloro, and some Mounted Company of Kelogorm as well. I think that's everybody. Indeed it is not. Got some Mounted Company of Kurufin here, melee cavalry with some javelins to boot. And I think that's pretty well going to be it for the Sons of Feanor army. Ton of cavalry, as you would expect. An okay infantry force, got some armor piercing and some strong staying power with the Footmen of Amoras and the Defenders of Aglon. That's going to do it for our team. Let's go ahead and see what Team 2 is bringing to the battle today. So directly across from myself, we have an army that it's fairly difficult to gauge the strength of because of all the hidden terrain up here. But it is another Doriath army, commanded by Captain Jervis, not Rex. I swear to God I will get that correct. It's actually his favorite faction, from what I understand, on the alpha build so far. So you're going to be seeing him playing them a lot, I imagine. But yeah, so he's got a full hidden army in here somewhere. He's got some shield bearers of Region who are currently visible. Some marksmen. He's got some Kuthalim. More marksmen. And I know he's got a front line in here that's composed of... he's got some Wardens of the Girdle. Decent amount of archers here. I know he's got like a mixed front line of like spears and swordsmen. And I think he's got some of his axemen up here as well. But yeah, we'll just have to see his army as it pops up in just a moment here. He's also broken off some troops here to support his ally. He's got a company of Mounted Company down here to support Inarius's... Sorry, this is Artorius's Doriath army. But that's all we can really see from Rex at the moment, so we will move on to the aforementioned second Doriath army commanded by Artorius. He's got shield bearers of Region, Axguard. I think he's got probably 3 companies of Axguard here. So that's his full complement. He's also maybe got some units. Yes, here they are. So he's taken position here on this large hill. A couple units of Spear Guard. Is it Spear Guard? No, it's Shield Bearers. My bad. and 3 units of Sword Host of Region. So that's a big chunk of heavy infantry that's going to be hard to break. What else? I think that's all we can really see from him for now. I believe he has some cavalry nearby. What do we got back here? Ah, yes. Got some Warriors of Region, Doriath and Mablung, and his own units of Kuthalim as well. And it looks like they're moving up there to help Jervis out a little bit in that fight against my my army. Over here, we have a... no, this is partially Artorias' army. So we've got some marksmen here of Region from Artorias. Is it just the 2 units? Yeah, he's got 2 units of marksmen here. And then we move on to Inarius' Doriath force. This is a 3 Doriath army, a mighty host sent by King Thingol. He's got his own marksman well positioned up here on this little stick fort. He's also got Doriath and Mablung. Scary for the Sons of Feanor to have to face down. Spearhost of the Girdle, Wardens of the Girdle. I thought I saw some dead cavalry there. More Wardens of the Girdle, Sword Host of Region. 3 units of them. He's got some Warriors of Region as well. All the high notes of the Doriath army that the Sons of Feanor dread to hear. I know he's got some more hidden companies in here. Probably some cavalry, probably some other nasty things. But let's go ahead and get this battle started. Hope you guys enjoy it. So we're going to start up here on my side. I've unfortunately put my Arbalists in a very compromised position. Got my Guardians of the Iron Crown I'm moving forward with to try and engage these guys. Ooh, they're going to take that on the chin, but honestly, it's not going to kill too many of them. Their armor value is so high, and the Spear Host of the Girdle only have 6 non-armor piercing missile damage. It is going to knock lots of them around, however. And one important thing to note is that I actually really screwed up here. I was trying to get my units to move in formation, but it's not easy because of all the aforementioned obstacles. So I actually end up advancing in a pretty stupid way. So you can see some Sword Host here popping out. Got some Spear Guard that's moving in to engage them, although I didn't actually know that they were here. Warriors of Region as well. Got my Valor Raukar near them, which is not where they want to be. I got some Ironshot Halberdiers, and I'm just trying to make some sense out of my line while I'm taking heavy archer fire, and all this nasty stuff is coming my way. And I had no idea what he would have until I started to see it pop into view. So we're going to go ahead, get down and dirty with it. That's one of the reasons that I like the fight up here, is that you have to get down into the chaos. And God, is there a lot of chaos. So I'm trying to get these guys into something resembling a formation, so it's not just one big ineffective column. But the chaos ends up working out for me. Got my Ironshot Halberdiers here, flanking a unit of Sword Host. I've got some... ooh, it looks like my poor Guardians here are really taking down the chin. My Ironshot Arbalists are beginning to fall back. But I've moved my Uruloki over here, and that is going to be significant. It looks like I've got some more Halberdiers and some other things on my second line. So over on my other wing, I'm going to end up being pretty stacked with some nasty units that Doriath can struggle to deal with, especially the range of the pole arms. Got my... you can hear the whistling overhead of my crossbow bolts. Bunch of spearmen here on the other wing. Arbalists really taking it on the chin. Where are my Uruloki, though? This is going to be where it's important. My Valor Raukar on the front lines. I kept them up here because they have a 10 morale buffer in 25 meters, and they can be very, very important for keeping your lines intact in the absence of your general's bodyguard. Uruloki, spit and fire, quite literally. And the Doriath forces are really just easy prey. So the chaos of my advance here actually ends up working quite nicely for me, as it does put these Doriath units in a very compromised position. My Uruloki are fricasseeing these guys. It does hit my Halberdiers a little bit, which they don't like. But the Doriathrim are suffering far heavier losses than my Halberdiers are from friendly fire. And this is an ugly thing here. Got maybe one more volley in them. Halberdiers are getting into position. They are doing well, holding back the Doriath units. I really just want to see how deep this rabbit hole goes, because I didn't really have a chance to look during the battle because it was so chaotic. And it looks like Jervis is turning his marksmen onto my Uruloki, but their armor value is just so high that it doesn't really matter. They could tank those Silverthorn arrows all day, every day. Their mass is high enough that they won't get knocked around or interrupted. And they're just carving a bloody path through these units. It really is just quite funny. And the Doriath, Sindar elves taking heavy losses. My Spear Guard, or not my Spear Guard. My Spear Guard are doing decently enough. My Valor Raukar are taking heavy losses because I believe there are some two-handed axes mixed in here. Indeed. So my Valor Raukar are not as effective as they could be. Spear Guard are a little strung out, but over here we're actually winning. We've managed to drive a host, or a wedge between the host of Doriath, isolating their left wing. The Doriath and Mablung are actually being targeted, I believe, by my Iron Shot Arbalists. Down here, you can see the Doriath army under Artorias has moved forward and begun to take up a strong position there on this transitory area between our two base camps. And I've actually brought a lot of my units down here. I've got my Iron Shot Ravagers, I've got, I believe, all 3 of my units of Reavers, and I've actually included my Bulldogs in here as well as a company of Wretches that we can use to try and zone out cavalry. And of course, there's the full might of Tolin Gaurahoth, which is committed in the center, and that's going to be a nasty thing for the Doriath army to deal with. We'll see how they react to that in just a few moments. Sons of Feanor army taking up position here in a pass. They are a little bit funneled, and the Doriath archers will have a field day shooting them down, while the Wardens of the Girdle with their light armor are pretty worse for wear from that focus fire from the Archers of Amrod. And it looks like there's an attempt here from Secretariat to move in with his light infantry, but the heavy Doriath infantry is nearby. There's some marksmen of Region here as well, which is certainly a danger to that light infantry with their low shield and armor values. And Secretariat is going to have to retreat with these stalkers. And looks like he's got a detachment here as well. I don't think I mentioned that during the army phase. What we got here? Some Outriders of the Girdle have sprung out of the shadows. And Inarius is moving forward to try and catch the Archers of Amrod, which if he does, it's going to be nasty. Certainly off the charge, the Archers of Amrod will struggle against these guys, but I think they see them, and they're going to use their arrows to cut through the lightly armored, unshielded horsemen, but they would have been better served bringing up some spearmen or something, maybe some of the Edine spearmen, but I don't think that Secretariat has any. And they will get a charge off. It's not going to be the most effective. I don't think they managed to drop their lances, so some point-blank volleys here into the Outriders of the Girdle. And those horsemen are going to try and push through, but oof. Yeah, they're really getting hit hard here, and they're going to have to retreat under heavy arrow fire. So far, Secretariat doing pretty well. But he is heavily outnumbered, as I think he's actually kept all of his cavalry in reserve, or he sent them off somewhere. I think he's actually sent them across the river. So if we go and check over here, indeed, we're going to see all the Sons of Feanor cavalry. Some of them moving up here to reinforce myself, as are the Tolin Gaurahoth cavalry as well. So a massive cavalry charge here in an attempt to beat back the Doriath elves, who have broken my wing quite handily. I've actually fallen back here with a company of my Iron Shot Arbalists, so I had 2 full strength companies of them instead of the detachment I thought I had before. And the tree cover is actually going to do quite nice for us. I'm moving in with some Iron Shot Halberdiers here as well to try and shore up my line. But in the center, there's not a lot I can do. Uruloki have joined the fray. My Spear Guard are being overwhelmed. But on my wing, we've done reasonably well, though I think Jervis came in with some reinforcements, so he's starting to pull it back. My wretches here are being massacred by the Doriath and Mablung, but it is going to take a toll. They're not completely immune to this, and they have lost 10 men from a unit of 55. But yeah, I knew that I was going to be in trouble when I accidentally moved myself very clumsily into this Doriath army. But we're doing okay. The cavalry support is certainly very welcome. I'm putting some excellent enfilading fire into this blob of Doriath units, and you can see that it is taking a toll. Got my Uruloki in there as well. Those javelins in vain trying to stop the Uruloki, but they're not armor piercing, and look at the AoE damage. Look what that can do to these guys. So scary. Cavalry here, punishing the Doriath elves. I'm moving into the aid of my allies as my macemen begin to fall apart. And it's looking grim. I do have cavalry support to be quite effective, but I think it's only really a matter of time. Again, we're just going to have to try and contain Captain Gervais's Doriath army instead of having the resources to outright defeat it. Archers of Amrod here still exchanging fire with the Doriath skirmishers. And it looks like in the meantime, Norris has used the lull to bring his own army to bear and to get himself in position. I think we're looking at, just kind of judging by the body language of his army, we're looking at a general attack here. What do we got? Shield Bearers of Region. They're going to do very well against the Sons of Feanor light infantry. They don't have a high attack value. They're better against as like support, as flanking units, or against orc units or things that have lower melee defense. Yeah, lower melee defense and things that rely on their armor. Oh, this is tragedy. This is going to be the end. These guys can't really stand morale shocks very well. Oh, that might just break them. That might break a huge chunk of light infantry. Yep, I wouldn't be surprised if this would be the end for them here. Yep, and they're going to break, and everyone is going to fall apart here. Very unfortunate for Secretariat. Doesn't really get a lot out of his light infantry. They need to be supported. Oh, yeah, this is not... Yeah, that's going to do nothing to the Defenders of Aglon. And they're going to get their charge bonus off there. And they will slaughter the Mounted Company. Oh, yeah. So many of them are going to die there. Not what you want to do. Defenders of Aglon, though, if they spread out here... See, this is the thing. If these units had spread out and charged into this Doriath infantry, and the light infantry was used in support, they could do very, very well for themselves. But going in waves like this with the light infantry leading the way, it wasn't a great idea. I think I get what he was going after, as these units do get a bonus in the forest, so they can be a little bit more powerful when they're in this kind of favorable terrain. Oh, rear charge here. Nobody's going to like that, and it is going to hurt. Yeah, a little bit of a clumsy use of his infantry here, and it has really cost him. Look here. We're still about 4% ahead of our enemies. But now Secretariat is quite compromised here. It might be necessary for him to try and fall back. And there goes the Doriath general. We'll pop back across the field and see what's going on there. But it is important to note that our very strong advance up the center has been met with a retreat from Artorias' Doriath army, and you can't really blame him. He had maybe 10 units there to fight an army and a half. It wouldn't have been worth it, and now we're charging hard here across the field, trying to catch this very sizable detachment of Artorias' army, surround them, and slaughter them. Up here, the battle still rages, although I think my troops are beginning to break. And Doriath is victorious. There is some mounted company up here. And they're basically mounted infantry for all intents and purposes. They're like mounted footmen of Amaras with javelins. But they're going to be forced to fall back as well. And we're going to need to get out of there and save what we can, although I think some of these Laugskaras are going to get isolated and completely annihilated. But Gervais's army, it's intact. I would say so. But they have suffered quite heavy losses, especially over in here. But certainly victory is his. And now it's going to come down to what we can do with our infantry down in the center. So I have managed to save some units, though. I got out of there with my Ironshot Arbalists, who both still have ammunition. And that's going to be important, and I'm going to fall back down the hill here. And I've still got a number of my units in reserve here as well. So I've got some Bulldogs, a couple units of Iron Shot Reavers. I think I sent some of my infantry up the center here. Yep, so you can see my Wretches, my Ravagers, and some other units I think are up here as well. And of course, the army of Doriath has very rapidly advanced into this area, and their full strength is down here. And so the Doriath army is going to take up defensive positions and hope for the best. They still have their flank, at least up here, anchored by Gervais's victorious army. But they're going to be tired, and they're going to have to rush their way back down here, so they're going to be even more exhausted. But he does have lots of units here, lots of quality. Shield bearers, the majority of his army, in fact, is over here. So we'll see what happens. But it looks like things are kicking off between Secretariat and Inarius. And Secretariat is just going to hole up here and do his best to survive. We've got Defenders of Aglon, Otor and Maitimo. They're going to face off against a very healthy Doriath army. I think that they took very minimal losses in that engagement. Maybe some of the shield bearers died, but yeah, if you look here, predominantly that's the light infantry of the Sons of Feanor. Very unfortunate. They're such a valuable supporting unit, and I feel like they're a little bit thrown away in this battle. But hey, it happens. Marksmen moving in. I know exactly who they're going to go after. What do we have here? Archers of Amaron getting caught out by the Outriders of the Girdle. I don't know what happened to the other unit. Did he manage to retreat with them, or did they get killed? No, he retreated with them. He's going to use them alongside the Otor and Maitimo. Try and hold off the Doriath units. Honestly, I think it might even be wise to just sally out here with the Defenders of Aglon. And just catch these guys and catch them out of position, hold them off. And then what does he have in reserve? He's got some Axe Guard. Yeah, they could be held off, I think, with the Otor and Maitimo for an extended period of time, while the Defenders of Aglon hack their way through the Marksmen, the other Axe Guard, and of course the Shield Bearers. They're going to have a field day with the Shield Bearers if they manage to catch them. But this inaction is going to allow Artorius and Inarius to attempt to surround Sons of Feanor infantry, and that is the worst possible thing that could happen to him. Let's see what we got over here. Archers of Amaron. Standing their ground, going to fire into the Outriders, but they're going to take a charge. Honestly, there's no point in leaving them out here like this. This is just not a worthy use of this unit. They are going to kill off many of the Outriders. They're going to be on the verge of breaking. But I don't see the point in using them. They do break here. And nothing more we're going to see from them, I think. But let's pop on over to the other side. Oops, that is the wrong side. And we're going to see these units from Rex. It looks like they're engaged with some of my allies' cavalry. That would be the Mounted Company from Captain Gervais. I keep calling him Rex. I don't know. You know who I'm talking about. Captain Gervais getting sandwiched here by some of the Mounted Company. They're going to have a field day with the Doriath cavalry. I think he's going to retreat. He's going to try, maybe. But he is moving with all haste to the support of his ally. And we saw this, and we were like, hey, we can't let him do this. If he meets up with his ally, our forces down there are going to be in a lot of trouble. So we're rushing units up there to the top of the hill. I've turned my Arbalists around, and I'm coming up there with my Reavers and my Bulldogs. And we're going to make a very solid push here across the high ground. And as you look down here into the valley, you can see that the wolves of Doriath have managed to catch the Doriath army in a really compromised position. Sword Host going to take it on the chin here from the Thrang Sheik. But they have high enough melee defense that they'll be able to weather that particular storm. And lots of rear charges going in to the Doriath units here. Oof, that's going to hurt. That's how you do it. And they're going to take heavy losses there. And more units move to surround, although many of them are quite tired from that epic rush across the way there. I was a little bit more conservative with my fatigue, so I'm going to be making up the rear here, but I've got some nasty units here that are very, very adept at rear charges. And things are looking grim for Artorias' army. Well, the Wargs here kind of need to pull out a little bit because there are some shield bearers mixed in. And that's not somewhere that they want to stay. And it looks like the Doriath player kind of recognizes the peril that he's in. He's going to break off a unit of Axe Guard here, but they're going to get caught out. They're going to go after the Long Fangs. And they're going to get surrounded by Long Fangs and Gijax-Kara's Wargs. Which isn't anywhere that you want to be. Ooh, Ash Priest in a great position. Let's watch the destruction that they can cause. Oh yeah. Cooking these guys. And that's going to cause some morale damage. And slowly but surely whittle down this Doriath force. Now, Gervais, actually, if we look up here, you can see that we've kind of managed to catch up to him a little bit, or at the very least get close enough to threaten him. And one thing to note about this battle is that we were actually all on voice together. So we're like, we need to get in there, we need to catch him. Gervais sees the threat that we pose to him, and we're like, and I was just like, get in there, threaten him, make him stop, so that we like kind of halt the flow of reinforcements down into the valley here. Artorias does have a couple of heavy units here, which I'm not too sure what actions they were involved in. But I have some Angband wretches here to kind of hold these units up for as long as I can. Hishbokraz Hunters getting chased down by some reinforcements here. Looks like some warriors of Region from Artorias. So Jervis's reinforcements haven't quite got here yet. And you can see some rear charges here really starting to take a toll on the fighting strength of Doriath. The Wolfborn now in the fray as well. But Artorias is going to have to pull out here to try and deal with these warriors of Region. A good charge from the Throng Sheik where they don't get countercharged will actually do a lot of damage to the warriors. Oof, they didn't get to drop their lances though. That's unfortunate. That might have flattened that unit there. I'm moving in with my Reavers now. I've actually charged into the rear against this Doriath host with my Ironshot Ravengers. But oddly enough, they're actually managing to cut their way out of this. A testament to the quality of Doriath infantry. And now the Tolin Gauderhoth player is pulling some of his forces out to try and have some pieces in play for once Rex comes down off that hill. Now if we pop back up here, actually gotten in close. A lot of cavalry. Secretariat now is up here, and Rex's army has nowhere to go. They're going to have to stand and fight. It is against cavalry, but at the very least they're not heading down into the valley. Ooh, these poor shield bearers here are actually going to get hit hard. Yeah, they weren't braced, so it's going to suck for them. More and more cavalry pouring in here. And I think there's some wargs nearby as well. And I've got my infantry pulling forward. Many companies of them. They're all quite tired, though, from the trek up the hill. Let's pop on over to the other side and see how Secretariat's infantry is doing. I have a feeling that it's not well. Yep, surrounded on all sides here. Footmen of Amras are valiant and well-trained. But there is only so much that they can do. Out here, the other company of Defenders of Aglon, surrounded. I think the Otorn might be in here. Nope, those are the Archers of Amrod. These guys are on the verge of breaking, and it's hard to blame them. It's a hard place to be. I wonder where the bodyguard is. Did he manage to save his bodyguard? Nope, doesn't look like it. I have no idea what happened to the Otor and my Timo. But they're not in the thick of fighting, which is where you'd expect them to be. Yeah, things are looking grim for poor Secretariat. Looks like the Sons of Feanor infantry are going to be ambushed and utterly destroyed over there in the pass. But over here, at the very least, things are showing some promise. Yeah, some of the cavalry here now pulling out. Unfortunately, they're going to get too far away, and Rex is going to have an opportunity to resume his advance, which is not what we want, because down here in the valley, we're doing decent. I've managed to hold up some reinforcements here from Artorias, tire them out a little bit. Some of them were crushed completely by the cavalry of Tolian Gaudahoth and a combination of their Ash Priests. And then over here, oof, the Doriath infantry is actually kind of cutting their way out here, so the exhausted Tolian Gaudahoth troops just didn't have enough fight left in them to really capitalize on our surround here, although we are winning in certain areas. Got my Reavers where they need to be. Ishbor-Kraz Hunters able to fire into the rear of a lot of these units. And as I mentioned earlier, the reinforcements were crushed over there. So there's hope. And then up here on the hill, I mean, it says these guys are going to win, but honestly don't believe it. The numbers here are very much against them. Doriath is not going to go down without a fight, though. Counterattack here. Axe Guard of Region, Shield Bearers, and I think some more Axe Guard as well. Getting into the rear of the Hishbor-Kraz, trying to break out of the surround. Some more Warband are being brought in to tie them down and give the heavier Gijax-Skaraz units a chance to deal with the warriors. Ash Priests, nicely done here. Ash Priests throwing their fire into the rear of the warriors. And that is going to hurt. They are going to fall, and that is going to take a toll on their morale. This unit breaks almost immediately, and that's going to free up a lot of resources here. So this brave charge is unfortunately going to turn into another surround, as both sides still jockeying for a position here, but I think this is going to go to both my forces and, of course, the Tolian Gaudahoth army, who has fought so valiantly. Let's see up here. It looks like, again, we've managed to bring... I was about to call him Rex. Swear to God. We've managed to bring Captain Gervais's army to Bay. Or to Bear. To Bay? I think Bay is the right word. Over here, some cavalry caught out some of the marksmen. Secretariat is moving for an opportunistic rear charge against some vulnerable units here, like the Axe Guard with their low melee defense. In particular, are a good, juicy target for Lancers, especially if they're not in a position to get off a counter-charge. But Jervis has recognized the dire situation that his ally is in, and he's going to move to bring as much support down there as quickly as he can. He's going to leave some rearguard units here, like this spear host. What do we got over here? Those marksmen being overwhelmed. I wonder where the Roqueni are. Well, that's a big ace in the hole. My unit's now very tired. Most of them, in fact, are very tired, marching through the wreckage of both my army and Rex's army to a Gervais's army to a lesser extent. Mounted Company moving forward as well. My Reavers taking a little rest. And the rest of my infantry slowly making their way over as well. Ironshod Reavers moving up. My Arbalists are in a position where we can fire at Rex's retreating army. Not super effective, but we are able to harass them a little bit. And he's going to leave some of them dead on the battlefield. But at this point, things are looking good for us. At least down in the fields. We've held up reinforcements for so long that we've dealt with so much of the Doriath army. Very good use of Misericordia's cavalry and his Ash Priests have seen us through to victory. And some devastating rear fire by the Axe Guard of Region, or into the Axe Guard of Region, with the Hishbor-Kraz Warband expendable units holding them in place. The Howlers fighting to the death, but they just hold up so many units for so long. And my surround over here has also borne fruit, and we've crushed the Doriath units, and this is pretty well it for most of Artorias' army, unfortunately for him. 70 to 60, though. We are down by 10%. That's going to be a tough one to come back from, for sure. And I think that Secretariat's army has been completely crushed at this point. Almost entirely. Footmen of Amaras broken, fighting to the death. And there's not a lot of dead Doriath troops. And there's the Otorn. Fighting to the death, Maedros' personal bodyguard, among the last to fall. What do we got here? Oh man, that's unfortunate. Some Doriath cavalry staking themselves. Secretariat's posthumous revenge here for the death of his infantry. And the Otorn are on the verge of collapsing. Very few Doriath troops dead here. This was a complete disaster for Secretariat's infantry. It would have almost been better to pull them across the crossings and try to fight that way. You would have been able to hold for much longer, but at the very least, it does have the significant consequence of pulling the majority of Honorius' troops out of position. And he did kill a lot of his cavalry as well. So, unfortunate for him, a lot of these... Oh man, a lot of dead wardens here as well. Outriders were gone. That could have been a problem for us. But of course, the main attraction is over here. And Doriath, under Honorius, has sounded their death knell. Their swan song. He's trying to retreat with some tattered remnants, mostly shield bearers. We don't obviously we don't want to let him do that, but our rear charge here is going to finish off the Axe Guard. They're going to break. And the rest of this Tolian Gaudahoth army is going to be free to move to engage reinforcements. And finally, Captain Gervais has arrived on scene with the remnants of his army. But of course, we are in hot pursuit. We've got cavalry, we've got archer, or crossbowmen, more specifically, and I've got some full-strength units, 2 full-strength units of Ironshod Reavers, and a full unit of Bulldogs. And of course, all of the Sons of Feanor cavalry as well. What do we got here? What are they doing? Oh, it's actually a pretty decent volley there. Really cutting through Gervais's army. Thinning out his already very thin line. And all it's going to take, I think, is one solid attack to break our way through here. Gervais won, but we managed to pick off little bits of his army on his retreat here, and now we're thinning him out even further with some devastating missile fire from the high ground, which he doesn't really have an answer to. Looks like most of his, all of his skirmish units are either gone or out of ammunition. And so he's not able to move to reinforce his ally. And that can only play into our hands. We have to destroy what remains here, and then we can move to surround Gervais in turn. Although there is, of course, still the very, very difficult question of Honorius' army. And because of how far away he is going to take some time getting over here. And he's going to have to run, which will decrease his fatigue and his longevity a little bit. But he's so strong that it's going to be hard for us to deal with all of this. And of course, there's the Donath and Mablung. All these other troops over here as well. Yeah, a total disaster for Secretariat's army. Just one disaster after another. The loss of all that light infantry, and then his infantry. Just very, very, very difficult to watch. And we needed that manpower. If we had that at this point, given how little damage was really done to this Doriath army, that would be significant for us. But there's the fatigue question as well. It's an important thing to note. And it looks like the first wave of Honorius' reinforcements are beginning to trickle in. And we know that time is short. So we need to finish these guys off. So Gijak Skaraz and the Thorangshik Wolfborn rear charging the elites left over from Artorius' army. And they are slowly being extinguished with constant cavalry charges and harassment. And it's not like Gervais can really come to his allies' aid, as we've now moved down with our own infantry, our remaining Ironshod units. I've managed to give them a little bit of a rest, And Secretariat's going to charge down this hill in force. He's got all of his remaining cavalry here. And it's significant. There's a lot of Lancers. There's a full-strength unit of Knights. All of this scary stuff. And Jervis is moving up with his spears. Naturally, spears are pretty scary for cavalry. But they're not braced, so they're not going to get that charge reflect. And the sheer scale of this cavalry commitment is going to overwhelm these guys. They can't stop them all. And they are going to break and flee. And now Jervis really has nowhere to go. We've isolated him. We've managed to keep him where we wanted him. Make him kind of play our game a little bit and pick off little bits of his army. So now all he can really do is throw these units at us. But Secretariat's cavalry is going to cut through them like a hot knife through butter. Yeah, these wardens are no match for all this cavalry, and they're almost going to immediately break as well. Helped along by the fact that the Doriath army under Jervis's general was killed in combat with my army up there. And a rear charge here from the Thrangshik Wolfborn is going to rout off most of Gervais's army, and they're not going to put up a ton of resistance. And that's game over for them. So both Doriath forces have almost been completely destroyed. That's going to be an admit defeat there, I believe, from Captain Jervis, as he has nothing left to contribute to this battle. And so we're looking all right. We've got a lot of cavalry here. We've got a healthy unit of Thrangshik Wolfborn, Roqueni Mag Loro, nearly full strength, a lot of Lancers, and a decent amount of Tolin Gaurhoth infantry. I say decent because many of them were killed fighting the Doriath army. As you can see from the wreckage over here. I've got some few tattered remnants. Looks like Anarius managed to get his cavalry across the river and charge them into my Iron Shot Reavers. And I've got some Ravagers over here as well. Oh, a small pocket of Doriath units still here, running off the Hishburgkraz warband. And now the Doriath army from Anarius, fresh from their crushing victory over Secretariat's infantry, have managed to ford the river. Not quite in their entirety, but they are in force for sure. Marksmen, wardens, and then some warriors and sword host and such, making up the second wave. And there's more yet to come. An endless stream of these units still on their way. And of course he's got his elites left as well. He's got the Donath, he's got his Kuthalim, which I think are out of ammunition perhaps. And there goes the second Doriath general. And that should, I think... Ooh, my Reavers actually broke here. Oh, Shield Bearers of Region being bullied by Secretariat's cavalry. My Reavers breaking off. I think I've got my Ravagers in there alongside. Oh, I see. They're going after the mounted company from Anarius. But Jervis's army is gone. And of course, we've got my reinforcements. Got some Iron Shot Reavers, 2 full companies of them. A very tired and out of ammunition company of Arbalists. But these 72 still have ammo. And that is huge at this late stage in the game. I think they had about half ammunition. And then, of course, my Bulldogs. A full strength company of Bulldogs. Armor upgrades, attack upgrades. It's nothing to laugh at. What do we got over here? Yeah, my Reavers came back from routing, which thank God, because we need all hands on deck. Still got some Ash Priests as well from Misericordia. What do we got here? Shield Bearers getting caught out again. Some of them actually being routed by Secretariat's cavalry. The loss of their general proving too great. They are tired. They've seen a lot of action. And that's going to be the end. So we've now secured our side entirely before the arrival of Inarius' Doriath reinforcements, and that is huge. If they were able to join to join forces against us, there would have been no chance. I mean, there's not a lot of a chance if you look at what he's got here. We're going to go ahead and kick things up into full speed. This is going to be a tough fight. This is nearly a full army, and we've seen what a Doriath army can do. And they are in numbers. Great, great numbers. Let's take a look here. Still 3% difference, though. We managed to come back from a 10% difference from earlier, so that's a nice comeback in and of itself. And now our strategy at this point was, well, we want to get everybody into positions. We're going to go ahead and fast forward it a little bit here, because nothing happens for the next little while. But we needed to use our cavalry. Ooh, get shot at there by the marksman. We knew we needed to use our cavalry. So, whoops! I was going to take the center with my bulldogs and with my my ravagers and my reavers and my 2 full strength units. See them marching away into position here from each side. Armor upgrades as well on all of these units, and attack upgrades. So they form a very durable center. Secretariat taking up position on the wings with his cavalry. The Doriathrim have no cavalry to speak of whatsoever. He's also got his knights on this side, along with a supporting mounted company of Kurufin, quite heavily reduced. And then I think Tolin-Gaurhoth still has a part to play here as well. So they've got numbers. They're going to take up position on the wing. They've got their Ash Priests, who are winded, resting right now. Some heavily armored units. Is that Warband? Yeah, Hishprokrav's Warband in Shield Wall. I know he's got some cav here as well. Trying to find it. I could have sworn I saw the wargs around here somewheres. It might be over in this direction. Huh, weird. Maybe they're dead. Nope, here they are. Got all this cavalry. We've got some elites. We've got arbalists. And we've got heavy front line. Hopefully it's going to be enough. Hopefully. We have a lot of strong tools here. It's not utterly hopeless, but like, look at this force. So many of them are fresh. Yeah, this is going to be a tough one. The Doriath army is taking a defensive position around this single bridge here. Got some marksmen up here. Still have ammunition. That could certainly be a problem for the Ash Priests. My guys are going to walk their way up. Don't want to use any more fatigue than I have to, because we will be fighting uphill here. That's something else to notice. Slowly getting our way into position. Little cheeky screenshot there. I think we might use that for our thumbnail. Tolin-Gaurhoth marching alongside me. And my bulldogs rushing in against the warriors of Region. I really want to deny them this charge. My bulldogs are going to hit them hard. And with their lower melee defense, I'm gambling on my bulldogs being able to kill them faster than the AP can kill my bulldogs. My Ironshod Reavers instead have gone for the Shield Bearers, which is a good matchup for them. And the Sword Host on the other side, which is a little bit worse. I brought my out of ammunition Arbalists into the center. I'm going to throw them in support of my bulldogs. Let's go ahead and turn things down a little bit. Cavalry coming in from both sides. I've got my Ravagers on the other end, my Arbalists here. And this is my target. I want those Donath and Moblung dead. And I want them dead as quickly as possible. Over on the other side, Sword Host being harassed by the tattered remnants of the Mounted Company of Kurufin. Roqueni Magloro getting a beautiful charge off in there. Spear Host of the Girdle in support. Not going to do much from the front, though. My Ravagers are going to move in. Doriath reserves being mobilized to stabilize his line as he's beginning to lose. But in the center, the combination of my Bulldogs plus the support from my Arbalists is taking a toll. And the Doriath troops are very, very thinly spread. A beautiful charge there. Well-chosen unit to go after as well. Axe Guard of Region taking it on the chin from Lancers, and I can't stress it enough. They are super vulnerable. The Sword Host we've seen can stand up to charges very well from the front. Axe Guard cannot. Ooh, some nasty shots from the rear against the Mounted Company of Cruafin. Secretariat needs to preserve his numbers as much as possible. Both Mounted Companies here very heavily reduced, down to about 30 Lancers in total. Ash Priests committed alongside the remnants of their army on the wing, and the Ash Priests are going to be significant. That's going to help them overwhelm the Sword Host here. And it's looking actually pretty grim for Doriath. You can see neck and neck at this point. More reserves being mobilized to go after my chaff, but the armor upgrade is going to serve them very well. Marksmen managed to get themselves out of here, and they're now being redeployed. I think they might be out of ammunition, or they're coming fresh from melee combat, not sure. Wardens of the Girdle going after Secretariat's Mounted Company, and it is taking a toll, but not quickly enough. Axe Guard of Region here broken. Warriors going for it, but a countercharge here is going to flatten them. And that's going to be it there. Oof, that hurts. That hurts bad. And Secretariat is doing an excellent job at cycling these units in and out. Although now the marksmen have been brought to bear against them. And they're being chased out of position by a combination of marksmen, wardens, and warriors of Region, whose devastating arm-piercing charge could easily kill one of these small units of cavalry outright. But it is drawing away support from his front line. And he is being overwhelmed here by the Ash Priests supporting the remnants of Tolian Gauderhoth. And in the center, it's taking a toll. The Doriath and Mablung were very, very strong. Took minimal casualties. But my Arbalists have done their work well. And now they're out of ammunition. I'm going to commit them to the front line here. A nice charge from the Roqueni Magloro into the Wardens of the Girdle. This unit is going to get slaughtered by those knights. Some Gijak Skaraz Cav here, along with remnants of the Thrangshik Wolfborn, pressuring Doriath's wing. And they're going to catch Inarius. Ooh, not going to get a good charge off, though, unfortunately. Tree's going to get in the way. And Inarius, I think, is going to see the danger. But he's actually losing on his line. Axe Guard really struggling against my full-strength units of Iron-Shod Reavers. With that armor upgrade, they are not easy to cut down. Armor is a very strong defensive stat. And the Doriath and Mablung certainly had a chance, but they were going up against Bulldogs, supported by Arbalists. And now it's the beginning of the end here, I think. Mounted Company getting some nice rear charges. And the Doriath army is beginning to melt away. Their wing here has been broken almost entirely. Sword Host hanging on by a thread. But the fear caused by the cavalry charges and the surround, and the Ash Priests as well, frightened nearby units, I think it's going to see them off pretty quickly. Thrangshik Wolfborn in the back, running around being a terror. Gijak Skaraz have managed to get behind the line. And where are the Roqueni? That's the real question here. Ah, here they are. Sword Host being held in place by the Mounted Company of Cruafin. That's going to give the Roqueni Magloro a chance here to get a nice charge off. Let's see if they can get it through the gap. That might, if they get a charge off here, that'll be enough to potentially rout the Spear Host. Ooh, they're not going to like it. No charge, though. Not enough momentum. Let's see how my Bulldogs are doing in the center. The Bulldogs are really putting the hurt on the Axe Guard. This is why we're doing so well here, is that we chose our engagement so well. Like, it's like spear units over here that we're fighting my my Reavers, and my Reavers are really putting the hurt on them. Bulldogs did well against the the axe units who have low melee defense, the high damage of the bulldogs. My gamble paid off, and they cut through them quicker than they could do damage. And the Doriath and Mablung were their one answer to my bulldogs. And my bulldogs, or my arbalist, weakened them, and then my chaff lent a little bit of a meat shield to the bulldogs as well. So they're still 39 strong. And now the wings have been broken thanks to some fantastic cavalry play from my allies. These wardens are breaking, and now we're pulling it ahead. And there's not really any chance for Doriath to come back from this. Let's go ahead, kick it into full speed here. Oh, Sword Host about to get charged down, perhaps. Nope. Having trouble cutting through the high melee defense and good armor of the Mounted Company of Crewf, and they really are mobile infantry. Give some good tactical options to the Sons of Feanor in terms of a fast-moving holding force. Now the Roqueni going for a charge here. Not getting their lances down, though. Chosen, along with the Lancers, are beating up on the marksmen. The Wolfborn are coming back. This could be the end. Oh, get those lances down. Nope, no lances this time. They will attack the Doriath and Mablung from behind. Cut down a couple of them. Potentially even rout them. Nope, looking like not. Ooh, I think I heard those lances go down, though. That's going to hit the Sword Host. Spirit Host here going to get routed immediately, and that's going to free up more resources. To collapse on the center. My Reavers have broken through. A rear charge there into the Doriath is going to see them off. That's going to be a very impressive comeback. We started 10% down, and we came out with a victory 10% ahead. Really, really fantastic teamwork here on our side. Yeah, we isolated the armies of Doriath and of... actually, the two armies of Doriath that were on our side. Both Gervais's army and Honorius' forces were caught out. We got lucky with our deployment as well. We had the right tools for the job to win on our side. And the disaster that befell Secretariat's infantry ended up kind of playing into our hands in a very weird way. It drew off all that strength of Honorius' army, tired out some of them, but just pulled them out of position. Then they had to march across here or risk being exhausted. And it was slow going, especially across the bridges. You do slow down a little bit. And then we were able to bring all of our forces to bear. We had just the right things to beat down Honorius' army. We chose our engagements well. And the result you can see here. A last stand by the marksmen against everything that we have left. And it is fairly significant. There's a lot of numbers here. Mostly of like low tier or mid tier infantry and a lot of high tier cavalry. But yeah, a fantastic game. We all had a blast playing this. It was two competent teams all on voice together, and we had a good strategy on our end. We managed to execute it well, isolated our enemies, and defeated them piecemeal. Fantastic game to everybody involved. I managed to get, how did I get so many friggin' kills? I guess it would have been against Doriath's army. I don't know. Like Jervis's. Yes, it's not Rex. It's Jervis's army. I got a lot of kills against Jervis's army. And I chose my engagements well in the center as well against what remained of Honorius. So, really good game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you have been enjoying Silmarillion so far. There's plenty more to come. And I will reiterate something that I mentioned in the last video for those that may not have heard it. And this will be followed up, as I mentioned, with an announcement video. But there will be a public beta available for all of you to play on the 24th of December. I'm going to release that on European time, so it will come out on the 24th for everybody, and not just, the 24th for the North Americans, and then technically Christmas, like a late Christmas, or late on the 24th for the Europeans. I will follow a European release schedule for that, so that you guys have a chance to play with it during the day, for what little time you have, I'm sure, from hanging out with your family, going to parties, going out, that sort of thing. But yeah, that's our Christmas present to you for all the support that we've gotten so far. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Jordan, also known as JMonster, who can't even get his own outro right. And I hope you enjoy this, and I hope you'll join me for anything that comes next. Take care, everybody, and Merry Christmas.